Welcome to Practice Sessions, an introduction to militant sound research. UltraRed have designed this three-part series for organizers, cultural workers, and community members interested in political and collective listening. In Part 3, we discuss the steps in organizing a collective listening event. The presentation concludes with an appendix containing additional information on the principles and ideas behind militant sound research. If you are watching with others, we invite you to pause after each video to discuss the propositions and problems it raises. The accompanying PDF manual provides additional reference information for these discussions. By this point, the investigation has followed a question relevant to the constituency and struggle to which the investigative team is accountable. The team has made audio recordings of sounds with concrete significance to the constituency. These recordings have been composed into a series of sound objects intended to catalyze collective listening, which occurs at a listening session. In preparation for a listening session, the investigative team first determines who needs to be present. How the sound investigation connects to the constituency's larger political organizing work will determine whether the listening procedure involves a small number of community members or a larger convening of the constituency and its allies. Everyone who attends is considered a researcher. There is no audience. The session is facilitated using a protocol composed by the investigative team. Protocols generally involve the following sequence of actions.
All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here.
First, the investigative team members welcome those in attendance, state the aims of the investigation, and describe how the event will unfold. The team then plays the sound objects one at a time.
Recording number 1. Recording number 2.
The objects are played without introduction to avoid narrowing the listening to a search for evidence of that information.
Good evening. What did you hear?
After each sound object is played, the facilitator asks, "What did you hear?" and invites those present to respond in writing by speaking their responses
I heard burning fire.
or by both writing and speaking.
I heard count sounds on keyboard. I heard education. I heard
Team members record every response onto flip chart paper as faithfully as possible, even if the responses are redundant. Once all the sound objects have been played and responded to, the facilitator invites participants to organize the written responses into categories, themes, contradictions, or questions. This activity is decidedly pedagogical, for it inspires participants to share personal recollections and historical and other contextual information. Whereas the sound objects function as codifications of bodies of knowledge and conceptual frameworks, the organizing of terms produces a collective literacy and analysis about the issues under investigation. It also provokes the constituency's ongoing desire for knowledge in the form of questions to guide the next round of the sound investigation. In time, a new set of field recordings is made, followed by another collective listening session.
Good evening. What did you hear?
These listening sessions can supplement archival research, interviews with official experts, the reading and discussion of key literature, meetings with members of allied struggles, and affinity-style actions of civil disobedience and disruption. Listening protocols facilitate, through the mediating practice of collective listening, a group's transition from one stage of the organizing process to another. Thus, protocols are tools that facilitate the intentional political work of the community and must be distinguished from the community's existing social practices of listening. A community will always have in place social practices of listening. These may range from religious gatherings, civic events, and collective celebrations to calls for public silence in the wake of violence and suffering. The protocol sound researchers compose to guide collective listening may appropriate a community's social practices of listening, but with the aim of transforming rather than reproducing the relations in and beyond the community. Over the years, UltraRed has experimented with a variety of protocols for organized listening. These protocols include sound walks, listening sessions, oral histories, and processes for developing a research question. We did not invent any of these protocols, but have merely appropriated them from the fields of music, popular education, and ethnography, among others. A protocol can be as simple as asking the question, "What did you hear?" More complex protocols may call for arranging the room in a particular way, or will guide the movement of bodies, or significantly slow down the call and response of dialogue. Regardless of their form, it is important to remember that listening events occupy just one moment in the militant sound investigation. They are tools within the long labor of solidarity. With time, these tools of intentional listening may inspire new social practices within the community.